The cycle of being unmotivated to do anything, beating yourself up for not being motivated, and then feeling more unmotivated as a result of that is one of the most brutal cycles to break out of. In this video, I want to go over what helps me break out of this cycle and what helps me manage my depressive episodes so that I can still live the life that I want to without having depression hamper it every step of the way. If you've suffered from depression or if you know some great tips that have helped you out, comment them down below. I love hearing other people's perspectives and it'll probably help someone else if they're reading through the comments. That being said, let's go ahead and dive into tip number 1. Make small positive changes. One of the biggest mistakes that people will make when they're in depressive episodes is trying to change too many things at once. The problem is that when we're depressed, we typically have tons of bad habits that come along in order to deal with our depression. We might be eating unhealthy, watching lots of TV, not going outside, so on and so forth. And what we often try to do is change all of these things at once, but you should never do that. The thing is, you're already really low on motivation. And when you're low on motivation, it's hard to do simple things. So reorganizing your entire life is just not going to be possible. And that's okay. In the long run, you're going to make way more progress if you make small changes over time. So let's say that you're eating unhealthy, binge watching TV, not going outside, and you're not working on your goals and passions. A simple thing you can do is just start your day with 1 or 2 fruits. And then once you've done that, the rest of the day, do whatever you want to do. Make these kinds of small tweaks over time. The smaller the change, the better. Because the thing is, we're already really lacking on motivation and we're beating ourselves up a lot. So having even one small win can be the thing that pivots your day from being stuck in a sad, depressive hole to being a day where you feel good about yourself and you feel a lot more positive and can slowly move out of that depressive phase. Tip number 2 is small thoughts of kindness. Oftentimes we really struggle with beating ourselves up and being way too hard on ourselves. The way that I've been able to turn this around is to think about someone in my life who was really kind to me and who really helped push me forward. And if you don't have anyone in your life like that, think about maybe a musician that you really look up to or an idol that you have, someone like that. For me, this has actually helped a lot, right? Listening to musicians who kind of have stuff that I relate to. For example, Suicide Boys are 2 artists that have really helped me kind of get through difficult times. And whenever I'm going through a difficult time, I'll think about the fact that, you know what, they went through the same thing. And I'd kind of imagine like, okay, you know what, if they were here trying to kind of hype me up, what would they say? As silly as it sounds, this kind of stuff can be really helpful. I've also had really positive supporting friends and family members in the past. So I'll kind of imagine that I'm talking to them. This helps to kind of shift your mindset, right? Instead of talking to yourself with your own voice, it's going to be really critical. It's going to be harsh. But when you're talking to yourself through the voice of someone else who's really kind, it can be extremely motivating and encouraging. Anytime you find yourself starting to beat yourself up, you find yourself starting to be mean to yourself, you know, immediately try and remember that person who can talk to you in a positive light and think about what would they say to these negative voices in your head. Would they be beating you up the same way? No, of course not. Just separating them kind of from yourself can make it a little easier because it's hard to be nice to ourselves, right? But if someone else is being nice to us, that makes it a little bit easier. So pretend that you are someone else in your head and talk yourself up. That can make it a little bit easier to reframe. Now, tip number 3 is small actions, big rewards. Oftentimes when we're depressed, we'll compare ourselves to people who are not depressed, right? And any small positive changes that we make will be met with lots of criticism and negative self-talk. And we won't want to reward ourselves for the small progress we're making. For example, let's say that we were able to get out of our bed today and brush our teeth and finish a homework assignment. Reward that. That's an awesome thing. The thing that we'll typically kind of go to is we'll think, oh, well, other people can do this just fine. Other people don't have a problem with it. Well, other people might not have depression. It's okay to feel proud of yourself for overcoming these little obstacles. The crushing despair that will keep you stuck in bed, keep you from brushing your teeth, keep you from doing assignments that you want to do is no joke. Always just think about how much better are you doing than yesterday. And if you're not doing better than yesterday, think about what you can do in order to improve and get better. And anytime you do make some kind of small action forward, reward yourself, you know, give yourself a pat on the back, tell someone else maybe who's really supportive and kind, like, hey, I was able to get out of bed today and I'm really happy I did that. Journal to yourself. Or again, if we think back to that previous tip, imagine that you're talking to that positive figure in your life and imagine them, you know, hyping you up and celebrating these small wins. The more positive you can be and the more you can hype yourself up and celebrate these little moments, the more motivated you're going to be to get out of that depressive hole. Anytime you hear that voice come in your head and start to say, this isn't a big deal, normal people can do that, immediately, again, try and shut it down with that positive figure in your head who can help you move forward. Try and shut it down through giving yourself external rewards. If there's a certain snack that you like, you know, feel free to give yourself that snack. If you got out of bed today, if you were able to brush your teeth, if you're able to complete that assignment, always be okay with rewarding yourself. Tip number 4 is small gratitude. It can be hard to feel grateful for anything when we're depressed because everything feels bleak. But find really small things to be grateful for, and the smaller the better. For me, for example, one thing I'll often feel grateful for is this mug. I absolutely love this mug because it's really funny and puts a smile on my face because I love South Park. I love all the little decorations and stuff I have around my room. Simple things like a fidget spinner make me super happy. When you could focus on just little things that, you know, you're glad that you have them in your life. That can help start to pivot your mindset from being something that's only looking at what you lack to being something that's looking at all the stuff that you do have. As soon as you feel negative thoughts about, I wish I had this, I wish this was better, so on and so forth, think about small little things that you're grateful for. Don't try and think of really big, overwhelming stuff. Remember, it's the little things that are gonna give us those little positive boosts of joy. Number 5, small acts of kindness. Taking the focus off of yourself and helping other people is always one of the best ways to combat the sadness and loneliness that comes from feeling depressed. Now, it is scary to do kind of nice things for other people, but you can make it really easy, right? Remember, we wanna focus on small stuff. We don't wanna do anything big, overwhelming. We're low on motivation. We're beating ourselves up. Do small things to help yourself feel better. The thing I like to do when I'm depressed is I'll just send a text out to a friend being like, hey, how are you doing? And that's it. Just sending out a simple text like that. This can also be a simple thing of, you know, when you go to a restaurant or something like that, just making sure that you say thank you and please whenever you're placing an order. Leaving a tip that's a little bit bigger than you would usually give. Smiling at someone when you're going on a walk. Just one person. These little things, right? That's all that it takes. Just a little bit of kindness, and that can help you get out of these negative spirals. Remember, don't go too big. Right now, if you're in a depressed state, it's gonna be hard to do big actions, and it's gonna make you feel more unmotivated when you can't accomplish them. So start small, and over time, you'll be able to build up. Tip number 6, small, gentle movement. Exercise is one of the most wonderful things that you can do for your depression, but you don't wanna overdo it. Again, if you try and start going to the gym 6 days a week, you're not gonna be able to do that, right? You have low motivation, you're feeling lethargic, all of that stuff. So do small, gentle movements. This can be as simple as going outside for a 5-minute walk. That's it. No more, no less. Just go outside for a 5-minute walk. It can also be simple things like maybe doing a 5-minute yoga session, finding something online on YouTube, getting up and walking around the house. If you have pets as well, this can be a wonderful way to boost this even more. Going on a walk with your pet or running around the house with your pet, doing silly little things with your pet always can help make your depression feel a lot better. Tip number 7 is small moments of connection. You don't have to open up about your whole life story or talk about how you're doing with a friend. It can be overwhelming and really difficult to do that because you never know who's going to give you kind of stigma for certain things, stuff like that. So just share small things that happen throughout your day with your friends or your family, or even with people you see online. In fact, right now, if you're still watching, comment down below something that you did recently that was fun or that was positive or that helped you feel a little bit better. Little things like that, right? Just reaching out to a friend being like, hey, I really like this movie. What did you think about it? Or reaching out to a family member and being like, hey, what's your opinion on this thing that's going on right now? Just asking a simple, small question just to get a little bit of connection with other people can help you bring yourself outside of yourself. Now, tip number 8, the final tip, and one of the most helpful tips is gonna be laughter. Laughing will always get rid of depression instantly. So find comedy shows, right? Play with your pets. Pets are awesome for getting rid of depression. Have stupid little things around your house. Again, like the South Park mug I have. That brings me so much joy every time I look at it. Have little stuffed animals around. Have little things that make you laugh. Have shows that are really funny to you that you can kind of fall back on. I have specific stand-up specials that I'll watch because they're so funny. My favorite one is Sweet and Juicy, or anything by Pete Davidson. I love that guy. Jim Gaffigan as well is a huge favorite of mine. Little things like this can really help you. A favorite of mine too is watching cat videos because I'm a 40-year-old millennial. That stuff really helps. Always know that laughter is one of the best remedies to feeling depressed and to helping yourself get out of that horrible state. So that's all the tips I have for this video. I hope it helps, and I hope you can find healing if you are in this dark place. Remember, it does get better. Just make sure you go one small step at a time. Thank you so much for watching, and take care.